Today I'm talking about the good, the bad, and anything else in between with a phone doing photography. In this case, at the Bristol Renaissance Fair in Wisconsin, I also had access to a Sony a7R 5, full dedicated, expensive, impressive camera. I do personally really enjoy phone photography. There is a lot of benefits to it, which I'll start off with the good. Got this in your pocket, you use it for communication, you can use it for photos. That's a big plus. Obviously, I personally don't like carrying around a bag when I don't need to, so with a dedicated camera, you can have a dedicated camera bag, most likely. Although at this specific event, having a bag with you is a nice benefit, so I do carry a bag at this event, so I can have water, so I can have additional things with me that I would generally need at something like this. In my case, I'm carrying a GoPro, filming videos and stuff, so I do have the GoPro, I do have my phone. I can also have a dedicated camera, but in this case, it cuts down on the weight. At an event like this, bringing a bag is something to consider. It is beneficial. You can carry water, you can carry extra stuff with you like bug spray, sunscreen, so that's a plus. Really depends on what you're trying to do, but having a dedicated camera is going to increase the weight of that bag. That's not a great thing. It depends on your preferences, but in my case, just the phone, just the GoPro, that's a pretty nice combination to get what I'm trying to accomplish with my YouTube videos. Most phones have multiple camera modules in them. In this case, it has a normal lens, it has a wide angle lens, and a macro lens. The macro lens isn't especially useful, so you can also have things like telephoto lenses with a full zoom in it, as well as just a telephoto prime lens in your phone. Really depends on how much you want to spend on the phone, but definitely a lot of options, which is a nice benefit. Ergonomically, it can be challenging to use a phone for photography, but you do have options. In the case of this specific phone that I have, I can double tap the power button and it pops up the phone app. So that's a nice benefit. Also, when I'm in the phone app itself, I can set one of the volume buttons to the shutter. That's a nice benefit as well. Smartphones are everyday objects. The benefit there is that when you're out in public, when you're at some type of event, people will not notice it as much and it won't feel as awkward for them or you. So in this case, I'm just taking casual photos, taking crowd photos, taking photos of my friends, taking photos of objects, buildings, things like that. Yeah, having the phone, using the phone, it's easier. It's less of a hassle in that regard. You're going to have a default app in the phone to take photos, but there are a lot of other options with third-party apps to take photos. There could be some benefits with maybe being able to take raw photos with a different app to manual focus. You're going to have a lot of options, and that also happens on the editing side as well. So if you want to do a full mix of phone photography and photo editing and posting, you can do it all on the phone. There are a lot of negatives as well with using a phone for photography. The main obvious one is that you're going to use your phone for photography. That means it's going to be running longer. Your battery's going to go down. And if you need to take a call or something and you did too much photography with your phone, you could potentially be stuck. With that, you could bring a battery bank, but then you have to carry more stuff. So are you really saving a lot of space by using just the phone? If you bring a small camera instead, that's an option. It's easy to get your fingers in the photos and stuff with the phone, depending on where the module is located on the phone. In this case, my hand is potentially very close to the camera modules, so it really depends on how I hold it, but I have accidentally had my fingers in the photos before with this phone. You can get decent quality out of a phone, but with a dedicated camera, especially something like the Sony a7R 5 and a nice prime lens or a high quality zoom lens, that's going to definitely give you much better image quality out of the box with that camera compared to a phone. And a lot of times with phones, it's kind of a software based improvement, and sometimes it can look kind of uncanny or weird or just not right. Probably a good idea to put your phone in some type of airplane mode so you're not going to have a bunch of notifications happening. That is also a negative if someone tries to contact you. Again, a dedicated camera, you won't have to make those trade-offs. You just have to trade some weight. Specifically related to the Sony a7R 5 that I was using, my friend brought. He had an 85mm and a 28mm prime lens that I could use. So that meant I had to switch off lenses, change them quite a bit to get what I was trying to go for with that. With a phone, I just switched the module in the app. So it's much easier and simpler. So it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to really learn and understand a dedicated camera, especially a camera on that level. Yeah, just things to consider. You can much more easily take a phone out, get what you want, get decent photos, but there are definitely some situations with a phone you're going to get blurry photos and stuff. Mine is not high-end. There are options that would be a mix of a phone or a really expensive high-end dedicated camera. I think the Ricoh GR series are a great option. I'm personally interested in those, but I'm hoping for a new version to come out before I seriously consider it. But those are pocketable, they're smaller, large sensor. It is a prime lens, so that has limitations, but still very, very nice. The Sony RX100 series of cameras, again, very small. They're also expensive. They have 1-inch sensors instead of APS-C sensors compared to the Ricoh GR, so that has its trade-offs. They have zoom lenses, so that's a nice benefit. It's just a lot to consider. If you do want a dedicated camera, we seem to be getting fewer and fewer options that are legitimately compact and pocketable, but they're also getting very expensive as well. I've been to the Renaissance Fair quite a few times. If you've never been there, definitely check it out. It's interesting stuff to see and do at these type of events, and it's great for photography as well. Hope you enjoyed the video. Scott Photography Bonsai, thanks.